Well, the Military Times is offering an in-depth look at Barack Obama's national security strategy. Presidential candidate's interview with the Armed Forces newspaper will be released on newsstands as well as the internet on Monday. But will Americans learn what they want from the freshman senator, and what would they like to hear from John McCain? Joining us now, two of the best radio talk show hosts, Mary Walter and Ellis Henican. Good to see you both.
Hey, Greg.
Good to see you.
Ladies, not first this time around, because I did that last time. So, Ellis, you get to go first.
You know, I'll do my best to step up to the plate.
What do they want to hear? I mean, look, compared to a guy like John McCain, who served in the military, Annapolis Armed Services Committee, I mean, he doesn't have as much experience as John McCain. What are your listeners telling you?
Here's what they point out. They wonder whether all that experience, that amazingly fat resume that you talk about, whether that teaches the kind of judgment that we need going forward into this new century. The Obama supporters will inevitably say, hey, our guy may not have all the resume items, but he's been right on all the central issues of today. How to fight the war on terror in an intelligent manner, and that beats a resume.
And a lot of people, Mary, want America to get out.
Absolutely, they do, but by the same token, I think my listeners disagreed with yours in the sense that they just feel that John McCain has that experience and they just trust him more. And I think there's a perception that, and whether it's real or not, but there's a perception that John McCain is just going to do it better, and they trust him a little bit more when it comes to the military and how the military is going to be used.
You know, something astonishing has happened recently. Barack Obama, after having spent the better part of 2 years saying, I will get us out and fast, suddenly said, well, I'm going to refine my plan based on the commanders on the ground and the Joint Chiefs.
Yeah.
Is this just nuanced, or is he changing his tune?
Here's what's happening. He's becoming a plausible president. I mean, back in the early days of the campaign, listen, campaign rhetoric is cheap. They use it on both sides, and most of it doesn't mean much.
So he was just leaning to the left to get the nomination.
No, well, listen, they're all politicians, and you never go wrong underestimating their cynicism. I mean, let's be honest
You're
here.
right.
But listen, he is on the verge now of, he's leading in all the polls. It's quite likely he's going to get elected in November, and he's going to show people that he's a man of judgment, and frankly, that he can learn. We didn't get so much of that out of the last guy, did we?
What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think he's very smart. I think he's very smart, and he is going to say what he needs to say to get elected, and I agree. They're politicians. That's what they do, and that's what. But I think what scares people is he talks about change, and he talks about how he's going to do things differently, but he doesn't say how. What is the plan? There is no defined plan there. So that's what I think is scary.
Do your listeners say, hey, John McCain gets great credit, essentially, for saving the war effort. It was his idea. He pushed the surge, and it worked. Does he get credit for that?
He really, I did not hear that. We just talked about this on Friday, and honestly, I didn't hear that. Yeah. Most people went back to the fact that he's been there, done that, and they just
Does Barack Obama, according to your listeners, get credit for assisting and helping the troops with all of the legislation, even though he's against the war?
Well, that's a key point. And truly, he has made that point that, you know, you can be against this war, you can think it was dumb to get into, but still we got to support the troops. I think, frankly, both of them get pretty good troop marks,
Who doesn't support the troops? It's trendy to support the troops. You're not going to come out against them.
It's easy if you're for the war. And if you're against the war, people are ready to say, oh, you hate the war, you hate the troops.
You know the take on John McCain, Mary, that he's a bit of a hothead. Does that concern people?
Actually, I brought that up, and I had a listener, I thought it was great. He said, you know what, I kind of like that. Having a leader who just might go off is really good when you're dealing with Ahmadinejad and you're dealing with, you know, North Korea. Maybe you need somebody
We're
who's
the most powerful
little,
country on earth with more nukes than anybody else. I'm not sure it's good to just go off.
It's the Nixon theory, right? He wanted some of those people to think like, you know, I really could climb up on the table with the high-power rifle. And
yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting to juxtapose the two of them, because here is Barack Obama, junior senator, most liberal in the U.S. Senate. He was against the war from the very beginning, and yet, Ellis, a lot of people are giving him credit for judgment.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think you're seeing a maturation process, honestly. Again, when you're playing to the base, it's easy. When you're talking to a broad group of Americans, you got to show some depth and some flexibility. I think this is the year for that kind of thing.
Is it called flexibility now?
Well, you can call
I'm just checking.
If you want to be cynical, I guess you call it manipulation and flip-flopping. But they all do seem to do it on both sides.
Is anybody concerned with the rather flippant remark that we'll be there for 100 years, which was taken out of context? He meant in a support capacity with no lives in jeopardy.
100 years, you mean?
100 years. What did I say? 100 months? 100 years.
You know what, though? Had Obama said it, we wouldn't even remember it. Because the media likes Obama. They love him.
If Obama said it, we'd
We'd be
definitely we'd be stunned.
Anything he says isn't going to stick to him right now because there's a love affair going on with him. The hangover will start soon, but right now there's a love affair.
He's getting clobbered pretty good. I mean, you get the same emails I get, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, do we?
Some of them are pretty raw, let me tell you.
Let me just expand it beyond the military and Obama's nuanced position that may have flip-flopped. What about, I mean, his change on FISA, the death penalty, on gun control, a whole laundry list of things that he seems to be moving to the right.
No, you're making way too much out of all of those. There are virtually no changes in any of them. There are differences of emphasis. There's open-mindedness.
I want to renegotiate NAFTA, now I don't.
The gun thing
I was against FISA, now I'm in favor of it.
None of that's
I'm in favor of gun control, but people ought to bear arms.
You know what? I think today, honestly, people are cynical about it. And they're cynical when John McCain does it on oil drilling and when Barack does it on FISA.
And John McCain has also changed his tune on tax cuts, the Bush tax.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt. That won't hurt him either.
Everybody's a politician. Okay, Mary Walter, Ellis, Henican, thanks very much, guys.
Good to see you.
Thank you.